Some races just get under your skin, and the Skoda Tour of Luxembourg is exactly one of those. After a super dramatic opening day in Luxembourg, the jerseys, most of which owned by Romain Gregoire, lined up at the front for a day of racing. Well, this was no easy task, climbing just about straight out of the back door, and indeed the first KOM points in a jersey that's still young and indeed waiting to be claimed. Always tempting to a breakaway, and Jonas Haynes it was that started this one off. The Flanders Belloise rider looked determined, and he dragged some feisty competitors with him along for the ride. Pedro Pinto, just one of those, and ultimately forming a fighting force of 7. They would take on those tests, and crucially, ultimately, would include 2 from the day's break prior. Hellerup was there, so was Morang from the Luxembourg team, a team that seems to be punching well above its weight. And so it proved to be when the Mountains Point started to offer themselves up. This was going to be a fight all the way home. Boom! Mil Morang grabs Mountains Points. Where was Hellerup? He was late to the party, but soon that breakaway was starting to share the spoils. But the kilometres were ticking down. No time to look at this absolutely stunning country. The roads absolutely impeccable as well. Like a roller coaster, they seem to just throw up excitement at every quarter. And chasing everybody down, Groupama Francis Leger, on duty of course, protecting the leader's jersey. Time for a bit of chit-chat. Maybe, just forming an alliance. Could Haynes be tempted to help Morang? In the end, Morang was going to help himself to a King of the Mountains jersey. He was brilliant, super determined, and from a team of youngsters who meant business. Well, so did the peloton. They were mustering for a fight. Of course, we got some great sprinters here, so this breakaway was never going to be allowed its head. But they were busy hoovering up all kinds of prizes out there. If it wasn't the Mountains, then of course there was bonus seconds as well. This yet more Mountains points going onto the shoulders of Morang, who would indeed pull on the Mountains jersey by the day's end. Yes, transferring from the shoulders of Hellerup. He tried, but it just wasn't to be on the day. So, action stations. 95 seconds with just under 40 kilometres to go is no gap at all. The breakaway knew it. It was a holding pattern for the sprinters teams. They didn't want to invest too much before the big party at the end. Mil Morang supposed to be a lead-out man within his own team. And the paring down of our breakaway continued. 2 laps to go at this point. A very modest margin. In fact, they let it stretch out just a little bit more before finally, ultimately wanting to snuff it out. How would Romain Gregoire, winner of stage 1, function on the day? Not the fastest man within his team. We saw Tom Donnerworth going for it on the opening day. Well, maybe they were swapping duties. So was the breakaway. They were sharing the burden, albeit in ever decreasing numbers out there. The bonus seconds went to Jonas Haynes, quite rightly, as he was the man that had started the move. But really, this was all about the big prize at the end of the day, a huge stage win. The kids had tipped out from school. They were going to see an absolute spectacle.
Go, guys. Come on.
Big encouragement. The bell rang. But for who would it toll? That was the big question. Lots of teams very, very interested in this one. Soren Krauw and Schelmos, of course, for Lidl Trek. What about Albanese and Vandenberg from EF Education? We got some great fast men here. Strong men too, like Mark Hershey. Del Grosso himself, why not? Soren Krauw Anderson, and you just have a roster of fantastic fast men, strong men too, who would have survived a day like this very well indeed. And as the road began to meander, the Flamme Rouge presented itself, and yet another dramatic finale was on the cards. Time to go racing or sprinting. Well, they say all's fair in love, war and sprinting. It can get rough, and sometimes people get hurt. And oh my goodness, we had some shilly-shallying with just about 550 metres to go. Lateral movements cause havoc at moments such as this. And so it proved to be just a little bit too much. A bruising encounter for plenty out there. The drag was starting to tell. And they picked it up. Some had to pick themselves up off the deck. Cluckers went down for Luxembourg. Was that going to dash the locals' hopes? Not a bit of it. This was a drive for glory, and De Captain were in there. Vendrame with Perry-Pants where they wanted a piece of the day, and then suddenly huge launch, of course, from who else but Vandenberg. Had he gone too early, Groupama were on his case. What a mix it turned out to be. Wagner also wanted to come and play the game, and then it spread across the road, and what a finale this turned out to be, and a huge surprise at the line. Boom! That was enormous. Mathieu Kockelman is a big fish. He just hasn't been landed yet. Wow. Well, that was enormous. I didn't have a lead out, he says. My man Neil was in the break, and I just had to stay calm, just take the right way, take the good line, and then launch my sprint. I'm only young, I'm a development rider, I'm in a very small team, and with a team like we have to win on a stage such as this, it's an enormous achievement. And he's absolutely right. Kockelman, remember that name. The checkbooks are opening for him, you can be sure. Vendrame in second place on the day, ahead of Donoverth, Del Grosso and Van der Berg, who launched early. He's third overall now. Gregoire still leads, but Andrea Vendrame is up into second place, only 4 seconds down. What an amazing race, and more to come in Vianden Castle tomorrow.